welcome to the Darwin's Room channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another movie review. Today we're going to be talking about the new Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd comedy, Friendship. This is actually produced by A24, and I was really excited to see what are they going to do with this. Are they going to take the same formula that Tim Robinson uses for his Netflix comedy, I Think You Should Leave, which, by the way, if you guys haven't watched that show on Netflix, I highly recommend it. It's hilarious. I laugh nonstop whenever I binge that show. It's an easy binge too because it's really short. The seasons aren't long. It's only 3 seasons, and it's just like a collection of skits, basically. So when I saw the trailer for this movie, it gave me the impression that it was essentially just going to be a feature-length version of one of those episodes, or of one of those skits, I should say. So like one skit just dragged out for a fun time. So I was really curious to see it and curious to go watch it. I had been hearing good things about it because it was released a couple weeks ago, like, you know, in select theaters, so not everywhere just yet. And so I started seeing people that had got to see it in one of those limited theater selections, and they were liking it. So I was like, please let it be good, because I love the show and I really wanted it to live up to that. So it came out kind of like as a more wide release now, so that I could finally find a theater that was showing it. So I went to go see it this morning, and this is a funny movie. I was really pleased with my experience watching this film. Tim Robinson, he just has this fantastic timing and delivery for comedy. Like, he knows how to time it, he knows how to deliver a line, and it can be a really simple line that anyone else saying it, it's not gonna be funny, and it might go over your head that it was even a joke. But the way that he'll deliver a line, it's so evidently a joke, and he does it in such a way that's so funny. So I love his comedic delivery and his kind of dark, dry, like off-kilter type humor. It's very outside the box, it's very different, and I've always appreciated that. And it's no different in this movie. It's really humorous, really funny. Kate Mara, she's in the movie as well, and Jack Dylan Grazer, I believe is his name. They play his wife and his son, and they do a good job in the film here too, and they have a couple of, you know, good moments. However, they are kind of just like supporting characters. They're not necessarily at the forefront of anything. The forefront of this film is this toxic bromance between Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd, who is, everyone always loves Paul Rudd. You know, it's Paul Rudd. He's fantastic. He's great. It doesn't matter what he does. Even if a movie is bad, if Paul Rudd is in it, you at least are going to like him in it because he's great. And again, no different here. He is so fun in this movie and very charismatic. And the way that they kind of reel you into this friendship of theirs is really fun. And it feels genuine at first, but of course, given the premise of the film, you know things are going to kind of turn sideways, and it's going to be like, what's going on? And they do it really well. You know, it's not a fancy art house film or anything like that. Some people might think that because it's been produced by A24, so you might be thinking, oh, is there going to be a deeper level to this? No, or at least I didn't notice anything deeper. You know, nothing under the surface. This is purely just one of those skits from the show I Think You Should Leave, and they drag it out for a whole movie. That's all it is. And it is funny, it's good, it's entertaining, and it feels like a sillier version of the Banshees of Inisherin with Colin Farrell. It feels like a sillier version of that, and Americanized, I guess you could say. But it's really good. I found it to be so funny. Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson, they have really great chemistry together. And they just work really well off of each other. The way that they bounce lines off of each other, it flowed really nicely. And you can get behind Tim Robinson's character as he's the lead actor for the film. And you can get behind kind of this desire that he has to make a male friend, you know, and have a good bro friend in life. and to kind of be accepted into a group and then abruptly cut out of that group. You can kind of sense some relatability there where you're like, I see, and he just kind of makes things more awkward for himself as the movie goes on. And Paul Rudd, the way that he kind of responds at different times it's well done. I think I really enjoyed it. I do think, however, that it is more tame than I thought it was going to be. I thought that the movie was going to have this bigger build-up to a completely wild and outrageous finale, and it never really felt that way. It is pretty tame in terms of how the pacing goes, and I think it's because it's a little too long. So, like, I believe it's an hour and 40 minutes. This would have been a perfect 1 hour, 20-minute movie, like short and sweet, because the premise of the story, it's very simple, and the outrageous comedy is very fast-paced. But when you take a simple story that doesn't have too much going on and you match it with that, there's this inconsistency in the pacing that doesn't mesh as well. So I think if they were to trim off about 15, 20 minutes, they could have very easily had a more frenetic comedy, where the pacing would have been a lot more frenetic and fast-paced and quick and, fast-moving. And I think that would have really helped the overall entertainment value, because there are moments, particularly in the second act, where it does start to feel a little bit like one of the skits, but that it's running on too long and it's kind of like overstayed its welcome. So there's moments where it kind of has a bit of a lull, But the first act, it starts strong. The second act, even in the midst of those lulls, it's still enjoyable. There's still good humor throughout it, and it's still entertaining. It's just you can tell that it feels like a skit that's overstaying its welcome. And then in the third act, they kind of wrap it back together, get it back together, and they finish strong. So it is still a solid film. I had a lot of fun with it. Paul Rudd is really funny. Tim Robinson is hilarious. Their chemistry with each other is great. I feel like there's going to be a lot of memes about this movie with like the bromance type memes, but then also the bromance ending type memes. I think it'll be really interesting to see the types of just funny posts that come out of this. I hope more people check it out. If you like the show, I Think You Should Leave on Netflix, you will like this movie. It's really good if you're comparing it to that. Same energy, same type of vibe. You'll have fun with it. It's really funny. If you don't like that show, or if you don't like Tim Robinson's style of comedy, then you're probably not going to like it. Even with Paul Rudd being in here, Tim Robinson is the lead of the film. So if you don't like Tim Robinson, you're not going to like this movie. Even if you like Paul Rudd, like I said. But again, if you do like them, you're in for a treat, because it's really funny. It very much feels like I Think You Should Leave, but in feature-length form. It is, like I said, I think the only downside is that it's a little too long, which messes with the pacing and kind of messes with the second act a little bit. And it could have been just a little bit more wild or outlandish, because it's a lot more tame than you would expect. But that being said, still plenty of solid humor in it. It's still got like that dark and twisted humor riddled throughout. It's really funny. It's really well done. I had a great time with it. So I would give Friendship a 4 out of 5 stars. I can see people rating this one lower, like a 3.5 or a 3 out of 5, but me personally, it delivered what I wanted it to deliver. So I give it a 4 out of 5. I really like Tim Robinson. I like Paul Rudd. I like their comedy. I like their chemistry together. And I like how it felt very reminiscent of I Think You Should Leave. So it delivered what I was expecting and what I wanted, and I had fun with this. So I recommend checking it out if you like any of the actors, if you like that show from Netflix that I mentioned. Give it a watch and let me know your thoughts. Did you enjoy this movie? Did you not enjoy it? Did you find it funny? Did you not find it funny? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'd love to continue the conversation about this film, and just hear what your guys' thoughts are. Thank you guys again so much for joining me for another episode. another review of this film. I'll have some more movie reviews coming for you guys soon, but look forward to hearing your guys' comments down below on this movie, Friendship. A really awkward but fun time. Thank you guys so much. God bless. Take care.